Hello, everybody. This is the Chocolate News Podcast, and this week's podcast is sponsored by the Ohio Lottery. Keep it fun, Ohio. Play responsibly. I'm your co-host, John Alexander Reese.
And I'm your co-host, Andria Carter.
And if you didn't know, the Cincinnati Herald has been around since 1955 and is the leading African-American owned newspaper in the greater Cincinnati area and northern Kentucky area. How's it going today, Andria?
It's going fine. I mean, I'm loving the weather. It's not too hot. It's not too cold, though it is raining now just a little bit. But I mean, it for a winter, it's been pretty cool and very decent. So, not have to put on that heavy stuff and everything else like that. So, um, I'm doing very well. Loving it. Just loving
That's
this winter.
Yeah, me too. Me too. So what's the chocolate news of the week?
Well, it's been a very interesting news week. We've had some fun, some sorrow, but overall we've had some good rope-a-dope type of stuff. And we had a record broken. So I'm going to start with the first of two records that were broken. One at the Grammys, Beyonce became the only artist to receive the most Grammys ever. I think she has now, like, the number is 32.
It's either 32 or 34. Something like that.
I know. I mean, she when what's his name? He does late night live. The guy who does Broadway all the time and sings.
No, you're right. I can't remember, but you're right. She has 32 Grammys.
She has 32.
Yes.
I'm late night live, late night. It's gonna drive me nuts now.
Oh, you mean the person who won last year?
No, the guy who who does he's after the night show.
Oh, I'm sorry. Trevor Noah?
Not Trevor. Trevor Noah hosted the Grammys, who did a fabulous job as usual. But the other guy, the one who does the sing-alongs and
I know his name too.
The car karaoke.
Yes, I know his name.
And
James, it's James something, and it's killing me because I know his name because he's recently, James Corden. James Corden.
Thank you. Because I mean, it's sad when you know pop stuff and you can't think of the pop stuff's name. It just drives me nuts. But James Corden did a fabulous job reading out the names and said, "Okay, we're about to witness history," and everybody knew it was Beyonce. And it was a fabulous moment. And she was crying and everything because it's very moving. Because I think, didn't Michael Jackson held that number at one point, and then someone beat Michael Jackson, and then it was something else.
You know what? Grammys are not my forte. When we talk about the Oscars, then I'll know. But not the Grammys. Everybody
has their thing. Because I mean, I was watching the Grammys and I was kind of like, who are some of the singers? I was like, who are they? Because I'm kind of like, I like eclectic music and I like new music, and I try to listen to the radio or stream new songs and new music and all that type of stuff. And they keep changing the genres, and I like what I like, and I like when I hear someone good. Samara Joy, I will say this. So two things occurred at the Grammys. Samara Joy won a Grammy for Best New Artist.
All right.
She has performed in Cincinnati a number of times. She is fabulous. And then the Tennessee State University gospel album also won a Grammy.
Okay. All right.
So, or at least they were nominated for one. I believe they won as well. And then there was someone else from Cincinnati, a child who grew up in North Avondale. I shouldn't say child because he's 40 years old now, but he was one of the producers on two of the songs for Beyonce's Renaissance album that was part of the historic win. He was featured in some media as well, talking about, the electronic hip hop that he's known for and things like that, and is very proud of having worked on the historic album. So there's a lot of Cincinnati-esque, or a lot of historical moments for the Grammys. And I think even though it ran long as usual, it did a fabulous job. There are a lot of surprise wins, like Lizzo won,
Yeah.
totally caught off guard. Bonnie Raitt won, totally caught off guard.
Yeah.
72-year-old woman who won, I forgot what she won
I
for.
believe it was Song of the Year.
Song of the Year. She didn't even expect it. She said, "We were just having a good time at the table. We weren't even, we were just here." And, she was like, "Oh my God." So, and I didn't even recognize her too. I hadn't seen Bonnie Raitt in a long time. But, it's fabulous. It was a good night for young artists, middle grade artists, and older artists. It was a good night for everything. And then when they did the 15-minute tribute to 50 years of hip hop, I was
Wow.
like, I was going back to way back when I was in college, because I'm sort of telling my age, because I was there at the beginning to now, you know, and really, truly, I'm a house music person. So, but the beats were pumping, they were good. I mean, I was, it was fantastic. So that was the Grammys. So I'm very happy about the Grammys. So it was a good night for all. Then I would say the State of the Union occurred last night. Before I get to the State of the Union, I'm going to talk about one sad note is the earthquake that occurred in Turkey
Oh my goodness. And Syria too.
and Syria. And because I always forget that Turkey and Syria share that border.
I
And I
know,
always
right?
forget that.
I completely forgot about that until
I
like
did.
this earthquake.
Yeah, I mean, it's with the Middle East, there's so many connections in the Middle East. It's hard to remember who's next to who. But, unfortunately, the earthquake occurred at night when everyone was at rest. People are trapped in buildings. There was a story today on the news I was listening to, a woman talk about a mother standing next to a building. She saw her son alive and moving a little bit. They were trying to get to him. By the time they got to him, he was dead. But he knew his mother was looking for him, trying to get to him, but he died. And they said there are a number of stories like that occurring throughout the recovery process. And all we can do is, if you can send up prayers for the people who are survived.
Yes.
And I hope that whatever legitimate organization is doing what they can to start providing resources for those victimized by the earthquake, please give. It's going to be interesting to see what the US will do to help, and other European countries do to help them as they recover from this earthquake, because they're still digging out bodies. I mean, there was one town that it was so quiet that a number of buildings were flattened and they were all dead. But the workers who were trying to find survivors could only pull out 6 bodies
Mm,
because it was so hard to remove the rubble. So it's going to be horrific. Trying to do the recovery process is going to be very, very hard for this country.
I
So
know. And the thing is like 12,000 people have died so far. It's so sad, man. So tragic.
that's an entire neighborhood.
I know.
That, in fact, I think Cincinnati's largest neighborhood is what, Westwood, with 10,000, 12,000 people. It's about the
Right.
same as the size of Westwood. Just
Mm,
think of that entire neighborhood went away. That's devastating.
yeah.
There's mothers, sons, daughters, children, pets, what have you, all have not survived or barely survived this earthquake. I just pray for everyone to recover, and please give if you can to help those who survive. Next up, I'm going to go to last night was a very interesting State of the Union address. In one way, it was Joe Biden touting America's economy is strong despite the inflation, even though inflation is slowly coming down. He talked about businesses. He talked about what they have achieved, what they still need to get done. He talked about bipartisanship. He mentioned the Cincinnati area with the Brent Spence Bridge, touting the
Yeah.
fact that he stood with Mitch McConnell. Believe it or not, he stood
No.
with Mitch McConnell. I almost choked on that one. About bipartisanship. Can you believe that? Mitch McConnell bipartisanship,
No. I know.
and how even though how good the success of the infrastructure law act is funding a number of projects, and how a number of Republicans are now asking for a number of projects to be funded in their area, even though they didn't vote for the act. And Joe Biden said, well, don't worry, we'll fund you all. And he said, and even though you didn't vote for it, we're for all of America. We'll fund it. And don't worry, I'll meet you at the groundbreaking. So, that was a point right there, that you fought against this, but then you realize you need funding for projects and you voted against it. Well, you could have included your project. You worked against you. And so I think Congress has a big problem of the Republicans are working against their interests, so to speak. But anyway, I would say I'm going to talk about 2 points of the State of the Union. The first point was Biden called for renewal for police accountability. He talked about, for the first time I've heard a president do this, as I said earlier, he talked about the talk. And every Black and brown person in America knows what I'm talking about. Where parents have had to sit down with their sons and daughters. You're afraid every day of them walking out the door, whether it's going to school or going to an event or doing something, and just pray they get back home safely. And that talk now about how you get back home safely is even more strategic now to live your life in America, especially as a Black and brown person, especially when driving. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Don't reach for your driver's license unless they ask you to do that. Let them know where your driver's license is. Let them know all what you're doing. Don't do anything. Don't reach for anything, and turn your camera on. That is, of the talk that I had from my mother, the newest part of that talk is turn the camera on with your cell phone to make sure you have a witness to what is going down when you're stopped by the police.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you're shopping while Black, or you're, going to an Airbnb in Black, just all kinds of stuff. And so he said, I never had to have that talk with my children. The majority of the people in this room talking to Congress has not had to have that talk with their children. But Black parents of Black and brown children do. Imagine being anxious every single day for your child to come home. So it was very interesting to hear this white man talk about the talk. And then he mentions Tyree Nichols' parents, who just buried their son last week. And they were invited to the State of the Union, and they received a standing ovation from the crowd. And he talked about police accountability, what needs to be done. And he said, no one should go through what Tyree Nichols' parents should go through.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of sad that even more police officers have been suspended over the Tyree Nichols death. So that's another update that we're going to have to do. But that was the one thing that he touted, especially for the Black and brown voters, about police accountability. And, it's not just a white issue. It is an American issue about what's happening with our police officers and how they're trained. And I'm not saying all of them are bad. Police officers are good.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a few bad apples ruin it for everybody. And because, Cincinnati's very lucky. Even though a few may have a few bad attitudes here and there, overall, we have a very good community-focused police force. And we are very, very lucky that we have that as a result of the collaborative agreement and the growth the police department went through to get to this point. So I think we're very, very lucky that we're not experiencing the same thing that everyone else is around the country. That being said, the other part of the State of the Union was the rope-a-dope.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a president booed or yelled at since Obama gave the State of the Union address. And the Republicans, led by Marjorie Taylor Greene,
booed
the president, jeered when they didn't like what he was talking about. And he used that to his advantage because he was talking about Medicare and Medicaid, and Social Security. And he said some Republicans have mentioned that they want to cap it or end it. And, people start booing. And he said, what? He said, I'm speaking the truth. He mentioned a few things. And so then he started negotiating with the crowd about it. He said, well, what? He said, what, you're not going to get rid of Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security? If you are for Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, stand up and applaud. And they did. And the Republicans lost their issue because that's what they campaigned on at the midterm elections, to sunset, those two initiatives, those two things. And it was beautiful to watch. In fact, I'm almost going to have to go find it on YouTube and play some popcorn and watch it again, because it was beautiful to see how the Republican Party, where McCarthy told them, don't do anything, don't react. And instead they went off the chain. And you see him not having a control over his caucus. And they in turn made the Democratic Party look good. They made Joe Biden look good for governing. They made him look good on leadership. And on top of that, he showed the Republican Party is not in control of what they're doing in the House, and that they can be easily led into getting what you want. So that's what I can say about the State of the Union. So it was a very good night for Joe Biden.
Yeah, let's hope he keeps it going.
I think he's going to keep it going, because I mean they're crying ageism and things like that. They had the Republican response with Governor Huckabee, Sarah Huckabee, the press secretary who lied for Trump over and over again. She's now governor of Arkansas. Poor people. I don't know why they voted for her, but everyone has the choice to vote for who they want.
Yeah.
Arkansas chose her.
Yep.
So they're going to reap what they sow. And she talked about how Biden's administration is wrong, that he's bought into the wokeness and things like that. And basically they said, well, who was she talking to? Because obviously she was talking to select few people, because her reality and what she talked about was not the reality that we saw in the State of the Union, or the reality of what people are experiencing right now. And so, there's that disconnect continuing in the Republican Party between reality and fantasy. And we don't know where the Republican Party is right now between the two. Hopefully they'll come to some sense.
Yeah.
But last but not least, while the State of the Union was going on the basketball court with LeBron James, he did it.
He did.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who still looks good, was in the audience. LeBron James made history when he threw I think it was a 3-pointer or 2-pointer made this basket, and he became the all-time leading scorer in the NBA, breaking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record.
I know, it's amazing.
Just think that now every time he scores, his record goes up and keeps going up. So it's unbelievable. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was there passing the hat. He passed the basketball to him in terms of passing the trophy. It was a big night for LeBron. There was an article earlier last month that came out talking about LeBron chasing the record and how he was striving to do that. And when it occurred, the game stopped and they applauded him, and the man was crying. And you always appreciate a grown man crying for a success. Yeah. And, I think it's fabulous that a legend passed the trophy to another legend.
Yeah.
Not some young wannabe who just determined to do it, and he's a legend in his own mind. It was a legend. LeBron James is a legend. Ever since he got recruited to the NBA out of high school to now, he is an amazing role model for what he's accomplished, not just on the court, but also off the court. And that he went back to school. He has started a business. He's giving back to his community. And he's just an altogether role model of what a man who is an athlete should do.
Yep.
And I just commend him on that. And so it was a big win, a big night, big chocolate news. And are you an NBA fan, John?
You know what? I'll watch some games every once in a while, but my mom's a huge, well, I should say, a huge LeBron fan. So she texted me like immediately as soon as it happened. I was like, "Oh, okay, that's good. That's good." She was over the moon about this.
Well, I mean, I'm over the moon about it. I like watching LeBron play, but you know what I would like more about the NBA? They
What?
need to change the uniforms. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. But you know, there's a reason why women watch more football than basketball. The uniforms.
Oh,
They're
okay.
neat, they're
Yeah.
nice, they
Okay.
conform to the game. Who wants to watch a man in baggy pants or baggy shorts run up and down the court?
So you want to go back to the days where they were wearing short shorts, basically.
They don't have to be that short, but they could just be just a little shorter than what they have. I
Okay.
mean, you know, men have so much in this world to look at and ogle. Women a little something. You know, I'm watching a legend run up and down the basketball court. Just, you know, give a little something. Now, some people call me sexist. They'll call me a dirty old woman. I'm not old, but you know, just I mean, come on. I mean, it's like watching Tiger Wood play golf. You know, you didn't have buff golfers until Tiger Woods, you know.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he dresses nicely, even though it's still red and black. He dresses nicely.
Yeah.
Usually they wear those plaid pants and their knickers and these funny hats and everything. I'm like, come on. I know the game is off, but I'm just saying for every sport, there's something for everybody. Even in hockey, there's something for everybody, even though they have all the equipment on, the padding and everything. At least you got pretty boys playing hockey until their nose breaks and then they're all, you know, look messed up. But I mean, you got something to look at. You got something to enjoy. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All
I
right.
mean,
That's
even
a unique
you know what?
perspective.
Let's put it like this: F, FC Cincinnati's soccer team. More women are watching soccer than they watch basketball. I bet you. I don't know for a fact, but look at their uniforms. I'm just saying.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
And and their shorts are a nice size. They're not baggy. And the glutes are, anyway, I'm stopping. I'm gonna get us in trouble if I
Yeah,
continue.
this is
I'm
turned
being,
into a very interesting
I'm sorry.
conversation.
I'm being bad now. I'm so sorry. I'm being bad. I'm being so bad.
Well, I love that we ended on an interesting note.
Well,
Say that.
it's. I always tell people you never know what you're gonna get with me when I pop up and say something, and I'm just gonna call out to all the women who are fans of any sport out there, whether it's basketball, baseball, football, archery, whatever. If the uniform fits what you're watching, you'll agree with me. If it doesn't, I think leadership needs to take a step back and notice what they're missing in their market. But anyway, I digress.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap it up.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I love the turn that we took. It was I didn't see that coming, but
I, I
it's
like
good
to,
to it's
John. I
good.
like to surprise you sometimes with the chocolate news. You know, sometimes we're very serious and very focused, and we've had some serious moments. We've talked about, you know, some deadly stuff. We've had two people break records and everything. But you know what? If you got to have a human moment with all of this.
True.
And as a woman who loves sports, I'm a huge Bengals fan, even though they're not going to be in the Super Bowl this year. Huge
Yeah.
Bengals fan and everything else. I like what I like. And
Yeah.
every once in a while, women got to speak up and speak the truth. I mean, look, that movie, 80 for Brady, that's
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Those women, they're all go Brady for a reason.
Yeah.
And I mean, they like what he does on the field, but they're 80-year-old women ogling this young guy who is
Yeah.
a legend on the football field. There's a reason for that.
Yeah. You know what? I also saw that Tom Brady kind of posted that risque photo on social media. So, you know, it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely interesting.
I mean, it's interesting. If you got it, you got it.
Yeah.
No matter who loves you for it.
Yeah.
flaunt it, take advantage of it. And I'm just saying that, I think the NBA is missing the market. That's all. That's all I can
True.
say. But
Okay. That's
I'm
fair.
I'm just I'm just here. I'm just
No,
enjoying life
that's
and taking it one day at a time.
hey, that's all you can do. That's all you can do. Okay. Well, that's it for today's show, folks. Thank you, Andrea, for coming on and sharing all of that good chocolate news. Always appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I always have a good time.
And folks, remember you can find more information about today's topics and past podcast episodes at www.thecincinnatiherald.com, the Sesh newsletter, and on our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And once again, we want to thank the Ohio Lottery for sponsoring this week's episode. Remember, keep it fun, Ohio. Play responsibly. And make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. Our podcast is on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Amazon, YouTube, and Google Podcasts. In addition, the Cincinnati Herald is now looking for news distribution and delivery agents. Please contact our publisher, Walter White, at 513 680 7076 for more information. I'm John Alexander Reese.
And I'm Andria Carter.
And have a good day.